Welcome to another episode of the Office Altering Hiring and Empowering Solutions podcast. My name is Molly McGrath, and I am the founder of this revolutionary podcast. You can check us out at hiringandempowering.com. Okay, so today I am flying solo. I do not have a guest. I really want to take this time at the beginning of the year to speak about what I'm experiencing. We're going to be talking today about decision fatigue and the business of making decisions. At the end of the year, and always at the beginning of the year for the 20 plus years that we've been hiring, staffing, and consulting law firms across the country, we see this common thread where people are just absolutely burned out. And if you're an entrepreneur or a leader, you can probably resonate with this statement. I always tell my teenage children this, like, stop coming to me to make a decision, whether it's what are we having for breakfast, what are we having for dinner, what are we doing today. It's just amazing when you are leading a team and then you go home and you're leading a family. Of everywhere you turn, it feels like people are lined up staring at you with this deer in a headlight looking to you to make a decision about everything and anything. And this is something that we call decision fatigue, where everywhere you turn, whether it's an email or yet another email or a text or an employee standing at your door or in a client meeting where they are hiring you to support them with guiding them towards decisions, it's just exhausting. And it creates this level of burnout, yet paralysis, because we find ourselves, when it comes time for making a decision or having to step into the unknown waters, it can be scary, overwhelming, but at the same time, a grand opportunity for new doors to open. But when we have so much information coming at us, it's next to impossible. So we move to this place of indecision, or defer and deflect, or some people will call it procrastination or overwhelm, which are really emotions. But indecision is a decision. Indifference is a decision. And waiting for the other to make a move is still a decision. Or taking small pieces of action, which you wholly know is going to create another stop-start because you're just making an action, but you're really delegating back up because you know you still have to wait for feedback and or decision from another. So today's podcast, I really want to give you a model, and there's a tool in the bottom in the show notes of the decision-making model. And it's an elimination tool for being at the mercy of processing while being faced with the decision to make a decision and get you out of that place of spinning and this for you team members. So please listen up, because this is what I hear from team members more than entrepreneurs. I don't know, I'm confused, I'm overwhelmed, X, Y, or Z didn't do their part of the process or whatever it is, and then it keeps us stuck, it keeps us frozen, and then it keeps us spinning. And the decision-making process is really designed to create a streamlining and exploration of the habit of processing, because processing is a habit. And my goal is for you to have a process to decide and then trust that you can make a decision, even if there is some level of risk. There's always a level of reward, and even if there's some uncertainty to it. So I'm going to unpack this. I'm going to walk you through it. There's going to be a worksheet at the bottom. And our goal is really to give you a tool, if you will, a strategy, if you will, to make a decision. Because honestly, there's no right answer to how to handle making a decision. Everyone will give you their advice, their suggestions. There's, every set of circumstance is very, very different, has so many different variables to it. And we tend to live our life by committee, where we go to others in our circle, in our tribe, in our office to get their input, to get their feedback. And then it just keeps us stuck. And the goal of making a decision is getting all the information that you can and that you need to get. And I always tell people, and then from there, dissect it and then have faith that you're making the best informed decision. A theme that we have in our office and that we tell so many people is it's time to abandon the project. I always use the example of when it comes time, I don't know why, computer equipment or office equipment, a massive printer, a Konica or whatever it might be, our lease is up, we have to get. I can't believe how many people, when I use this example on my coaching calls, people are, and I do all my coaching calls on Zoom, everybody's hysterical. They have tears streaming out of their eyes because they're like, do you have a camera in our office? Like, you have no idea how many times we've moved that contract for that new printer, and instead we're spending, millions of dollars at Kinko's, or we get up and shake the toner 42 times to try to get a less square inch out of it because of our attorney can't make a decision on which printer to go with. So just know that what works in one moment not be the right answer for the next. So burn the boats on your past of how you've done things, whatever big decisions you have at you or small decisions, how you did it before, how it turned out before, the way we got at it before. Just burn the boats on that. Just cut the cord. It's no longer. You are starting with beginner's mind from a fresh baby state of never done this before for whatever decisions you have in front of you. Because one scenario you may need to approach the issue at hand a very different way. And sometimes it didn't turn out the way you want. And people always come to me with their bags of evidence. Nope, tried that before. Nope, didn't work out. And that's a complete roller coaster. Just know that making decisions is a roller coaster and we need to stay till the end of the ride. And you will make it through, I promise. And the prize is always staying awake and aware and informed in the decision. And that's the best that you can do versus burying your head in the sand. So let me walk you through this. And again, the tools at the end. And we would love your feedback on how you're doing with this after you take this through a couple models and a couple situations that you have at hand. So the decision-making model, step 1 is to think. Name the issue at hand in no more than 5 words and no more than 5 minutes. I don't want the story. I don't want the backstory. I don't want the drama. I don't want the thoughts. I don't want the feelings. I don't want the he, she, said, did, whatever. Circumstance, situation. You're standing in front of a court of law and you have to present your case. My employee just quit. Susie, I just fired Susie. Bob is not getting his work in on time by the deadlines, period. Like, that is step 1. No more than 5 words, 5 minutes, maybe a couple more, but no more than 5 minutes on this. State the facts. You're standing in front of a court of law and you're presenting your case. That's it. It's a circumstance. So that's your C line, if you will. Step 2 is think and outline the pros and cons. Again, no more than 15 minutes. I can't tell you the power of beating the clock and running the clock. I always set the clock for anything that I'm going to do. How long do I think this is going to take? Drafting a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to give myself 1 hour and stop and just get my thought download there. So I'll set the clock. It's amazing how much I get done. Even if I look at 15 minutes left, I crank it into high gear. So run the clock for each one of these steps. So you're going to set it for no more than 15 minutes and outline the pros and cons of the situation and the circumstance and the decision that you have to make. So do I fire Bob? Is it that might be your decision that you're wrestling with? Do I take on this speaking engagement? Do we launch another division or service or area of law for our practice, whatever it might be? Do I go in and ask for a raise? I feel like it's time for a raise. Just the facts. Outline the pros and cons of you taking that action. Again, 15 minutes. Then step 3 is process. So it's wonderful when you're able to processing. But processing also needs a deadline. So anchor to the details of the C line, the circumstance, then your pros and your cons list and what you have, what's working, what's not working. Use terminology that works for you, and then no more than 1 week. And during this mental downtime, during this break from decision fatigue, during this time of the power of the pause, you spend this time walking at the coffee shop, somewhere away from your day-to-day work where you can gain perspective. So you've already identified it. You know you're not burying your head in the sand. You've already looked at the what's working, what's not working in step 2. Now you're giving yourself a process for processing, and it's 1 week. So you get to pause and step away from it during your work time. So if the decision is, do I let Bob go? And Bob triggers you again after you walk away from this exercise, you're not going to solve it in that moment. You're actually going to have a conversation with yourself to stop the thought process and say, all right, I got 1 week to make this decision. Yes, he just gave me a little bit more evidence, what have you, but I'm going to deal with this during my walking time, coffee shop time, whatever it might be. You've heard us speak many, many times. If you've been to our presentations or books or podcasts, we're always talking about emotions in motion. So you have to get moving. And it's amazing. I always say my greatest ideas, and I solve the world problems on my morning walks with my dogs. I walk 2 miles up to the lake. I walk around the lake one time, and then I walk 2 miles back. And that 5-mile walk that I do, sunrise walk, I do 5 days a week, every Monday through Friday. I cannot tell you how much I get done during that time. So it's really important that you have some kind of power of the pause processing time where you have not in the middle of putting out fires and dealing with clients. Step 4 then is 1 week later, and again, I always put an appointment in my calendar where I have 1 week later, again, out of the office, coffee shop time, whatever works for you. If you're a morning person, you're an afternoon person, or you're an evening person, wherever you make your decisions. 1 week later, you go through the sifter, and that's at the bottom of the exercise where you really put through your energy, your time, and your money output currently, what you're dealing with, because most often we just measure, especially as entrepreneurs, we measure in 2 different ways, time and money. Nobody ever measures unless they're aware of it or they're in some kind of coaching environment, the emotional capital, the energetic capital at stake. And I will lobby very hard that I think that is more of a crucial resource than time or money. You can manage your time. You can rearrange your calendar. You can time chunk. You can beat the clock. You can hire other people to replace you, to duplicate you, to clone you in regards to time. And money, you already have, money's just energy. You've heard us say this for years. Money is energy. So I like people to start with energy first and foremost versus time and money, because then they try to get really creative and convince themselves. So you're going to, 1 week later, go back for step 4 and process again and go through your sifter of energy, time, money, output currently on this decision. Then step 5, you're going to make a decision. You're going to decide. You are going to declare. And then you are going to share with others to support you. So often when I'm going through this model, I will let my key team member, let them know, hey, this is what I'm wrestling with. Or if they know about something, they'll say, go to the decision-making model. You have 1 week to figure this out. And then I'll come back and I will declare it. So I share when I'm running decision models and I'm going through this process and running a model with my key people who hold me accountable and keep me honest, because I lead with heart. And so often I'll be like, and this is a sidebar note, when you're dealing with people, outsourced vendors, independent contractors, employees, marketing agencies, what have you, just know this going into it. If they are part of your decision-making model, when, I don't know why, it's like their spidey senses come out. They know that their head's on the chopping block or whatever it might be. Then all of a sudden they show up like a superstar, like a rock star. You're like, oh my God, I was just getting ready to fire them and they just pulled this out of their butt and they just produced X, Y, and Z that I've been bugging them for 6 months. I think I'm crazy. I think that I'm overreacting. And then you start taking all the blame for it and then talk yourself out of it. But lo and behold, that has a short shelf life. They can only sustain that for so long. So when you're making that decision, you want to just make the decision, declare, share with others to support you, and just let go. Just almost like unapologetically. You're in the boardroom and the board's staring at you, and you have to walk in at 3:00 and cast your vote, if you will. That's the type of energy and authority, as well as seriousness that you want to bring to it. I'm not even kidding you. I've had people have to do this with finally signing the contract for the printer. Sometimes it's that significant and insignificant on the flip side of that, meaning the impact and the energy around office equipment is unbelievable. Not much money or time at stake, but the chaos it creates that people can't get their way, and the inefficiencies is just extraordinary. And then step 6 is to trust. Retain the faith that you will prevail in the end, regardless of the outcome. So no matter what decision you make, you have to really pat yourself. And sometimes, yes, you might have proof or evidence down the road that it was the wrong decision to make. In my experience, it's really never a wrong decision. It is always a learning experience. And we trick ourselves and beat ourselves up that it was a wrong decision because now the workload's coming back at us. We ordered X, Y, and Z, and it was a hunk of junk. It's not working. We didn't do enough due diligence. We forgot to read this line in the contract that it doesn't include any maintenance. Whatever it might be, you learn from it. It's never a wrong decision. So you find a way to learn and grow and evolve and get stronger and wiser and learn how to ask the power questions. The only wrong, and I will use that word, decision, is indecision and staying stuck and not making any decision, because the emotional capital at stake is far greater than the financial, as well as the time that yours or anybody else's involved in it. And most importantly, you really need to hold your head high with pride, whatever decision, and share it confidently with people, because they will respond positively and they absolutely will want to follow you. You're setting the tone that we're implementing X, Y, and Z, that we are a business and a firm of controlled growth, and we're willing to one step at a time, make decisions, fail forward, learn from it, whatever it might be. But then your team starts to respect you because you are an entrepreneur that acts, walks, talks, and behaves like an entrepreneur, where you are making decisions. And then you can teach other people in your life to do this as well, and have confidence that you can let go of control, have confidence that you can delegate to some people, which is just so wonderful and beautiful in itself. So the strategic byproduct of this is that it teaches you to, train the trainers, so to speak, to train your leaders, leading leaders, and you have confidence when people are making decisions that they've ran a model on it, that there was some strategic thought that went into it, that it's based off of the business of making decisions versus emotionality. So we would really love to hear your victory stories and your willingness to look at the possibilities of making hard and easy and just cumbersome and logistical and administrative decisions, but that you get excited about having to make decisions, and excited versus overwhelmed and frustrated and resentful about people coming to you to make decisions, because now you have a process, now you have a tool. to present to them and to teach them very quickly how to make decisions. And people will always, always pursue somebody that confidently has a vision of the future. I can't tell you how often during the recruiting side of our business, when we're speaking to people, how many times when we say, tell us why you're making a move, why are you leaving? It really never, if not never, but most often is not about the money. It is not about the opportunity. People say, well, there's no opportunity for growth. And I will say to them, define opportunity. And then I will say, define growth. And it's fascinating how many people really, truly can't define that. And when I break it down and break it down and break it down and break it down, it all comes down to two things, either communication or leadership. And so often they will say that we can't make a decision. We don't make decisions on anything. And that's really why they can't grow. So when entrepreneurs hear opportunity for growth in interview, they're like, oh, they want more money. Oh, they're going to be leaving me because the next person that comes in more money. No, that's not it. It's that we make decisions from a place of leadership, and we make business decisions on everything, even the little things that they just don't pile up, and we don't rearrange them like chairs on the deck of the Titanic, where we're just, orchestrating them and the boat's sinking, so to speak. We're not taking action. We're not taking inspired action. So hopefully this will be helpful for you and get you out of decision fatigue and move you to the place of making informed decisions. And again, you always get to re-choose as well. And then teach your team how to give them a process for processing. So after you do a few of these, please share your feedback and your comments with us. And we look forward to a very prosperous, happy 2020. Happy New Year.